Good morning, Pamela. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to tell you a story today. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Tom DeQuani. I live in Montana at the Royal Teton Ranch, just 11 miles north of the original entrance to the great and beautiful Yellowstone National Park. Uh, Today's story is called The Trouble with Human Beings. And I'll explain where that came from. And there's actually two events that in a rather startling way, exemplified something about that. So, about 2016, a good friend of mine saw a TED Talk, and she was enthralled with this TED Talk and told me in great detail what this was about. The only part that really stuck with me was the comment that she made. She said, the speaker said, the trouble with human beings as they operate, not as they're designed, is that they only remember backwards. I thought, when I heard that, I thought, what? They only remember back. Well, of course, we only remember backwards. The things that have occurred to us, then we can remember them. But the implication was maybe we don't just have to remember backwards. Maybe we can remember forwards. Maybe our mind has that kind of comprehension. But I stored it just in the back of my mind. I said, I got to think about that some more. And then I just kind of forgot about it. Well, fast forward to 2018, I now have moved up to Lake Placid, New York, which is, by the way, one of the most beautiful places on earth in the middle of 6 million acres of wilderness called the Adirondack Park. That's a whole nother story. Beautiful. And I'm moving into a house with a couple of friends who have bought property up there, and we're renting this house together. We're cleaning the kitchen, like thoroughly cleaning the kitchen. I'm standing on the counter cleaning the tops of the cabinets, which I've never done before, but this is the way they said they wanted to clean things and made sense, right? So I'm standing up there and I'm cleaning the top of the can. And curiously, there's things up there, not only dust, but there's like a little wad of paper and some other stuff. And then there's a screw about this long. And I take the screw and I look at it. I say, well, how did that get up there? And I think I'll put that with the jar of screws and hardware that we have, this sorted stuff. And I'm about to put it down. And I hear this little voice in my mind that says, you know that little voice, right? It kind of speaks to you occasionally or often. It says, no, leave it. And I think to myself, leave it. Now I'm talking to this, whoever this voice is. I said, leave it. What do you mean leave it? I just leave it. So I've learned by that time, because I've been practicing this, to listen to that voice, even though it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I think, well, it's going to be up there for another 20 years until someone discovers it up there, right? So I leave it up there. About a half hour goes by. Chris comes back. Chris's fellow, Chris and Sarah, with a couple that I was living with, and he has bought a track light, which replaced a light that we didn't like up there. He's an electrician, so he knows how to do these things. He pulled the old light down. He bought a track light. He was going to install it. Interestingly, the installation place was right where I was taking that screw down. So he's standing on a ladder. It's like a circus act. He's got the daredevil. He's standing at the very top of the ladder. He's got some things in his mouth. He's got a drill. He's got a thing. He's got both hands. I'm holding the ladder, right? So, and he drills in one screw, and then he drills in another screw. He's taking them out of his mouth. And then he says, Tom, would you go in the jar where we keep all the hardware and get an inch and a half? And before he finishes saying an inch and a half screw, he sees the screw at the top of the cabinet, and he just picks it up and he takes it and he drills it in. Now, I'm supposed to be holding the ladder, right? But I'm literally shaking because I think, what just happened here? Wow. It's like, have you ever had that experience where reality got distorted and it got a little bit wobbly? Like, what happened to you? The logical train of reality made no sense. This voice told me to leave that screw there. Why? How? Did it know? Do I have a better explanation than it knew what was going to happen, and it knew that it would be useful in that moment, and it told me, and I had the smarts, I guess you could say, to listen to it, to hear it, and then to listen to it. I'm amazed. I think the moral of this story. So, the trouble with human beings. Thank you for listening to this story. It's always a pleasure. Thank you. Talk to you again soon. Bye.